Something's been on my mind the past couple of months. A weird, uncomfortable question I can't seem to get out of my head. And for reasons I'll explain in a moment, it's beginning to feel like the Cold War never ended. At least, not for Russia. While the West revelled in capitalism's victory over communism, it seemed as if Moscow kept playing the long game, and now the cracks in our defences are beginning to show. From arson attacks and cyber warfare to political meddling and outright military aggression, one question is becoming unavoidable. Is Russia at war with the UK? Let's break it down. This story starts right in the middle of London's urban sprawl, in fact, just 5 minutes from where I live. On the 20th of March 2024, 60 firefighters spent hours tackling a huge blaze at this East London warehouse. Shortly after, 3 British men are arrested and charged with an arson attack on a Ukrainian-owned business there. One of the men being held under the National Security Act is accused of being directed by the Wagner Group, a Russian private military organization who operate a global network of violent mercenaries. A few months later, another warehouse mysteriously goes up in flames, this time in Birmingham. According to multiple reports, British counter-terrorism police suspect that Russian spies planted an incendiary device on board a UK-bound cargo plane, which goes off in a Midlands DHL logistics hub. Okay, so despite my paranoia, I'm certain these aren't random events. They're part of a bigger puzzle. Around the same time, a similar package sets fire to another DHL warehouse in Leipzig, Germany. A huge blaze destroys one of Warsaw's biggest shopping centres, and another fire guts an IKEA in Vilnius. So what the hell is going on? Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Putin has been busy drawing lines with his little red Sharpie, and one thing has been made clear. If you support Ukraine, you're a target. Britain's supply of Storm Shadow missiles may have turned the tide in Ukraine's favour, striking deep into Russian-held territory, and Moscow clearly isn't happy. In a recent interview, Russia's ambassador to the UK accused Britain of being directly involved in the war Russia started.
UK is now directly involved in this war.
Perhaps a thinly veiled threat, but it's slowly beginning to dawn on people that Russia's war isn't just confined to distant battlefields, it's happening right here, right now. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but there's been a lot of weird stuff going on lately. RAF bases buzzing with mysterious drones, bomb scares at the US Embassy and Gatwick Airport, and then there's the hacks. In one, 300 million NHS patient interactions stolen by Russian hackers. Just think about that for a second, right? Parts of your medical records, your most sensitive data, in the hands of a hostile foreign power. And they didn't stop there. The Ministry of Defence, the UK government, and critical ambulance services have all been hacked in the past year. It feels like Russia isn't just testing our defences, they're dismantling them one security breach at a time. But this only tells part of the story. Across Europe, Russia is escalating its attacks. Romania has had to rerun its presidential elections due to alleged interference by Russia. In Germany, a businessman was targeted for assassination. Journalists from Bellingcat, a group exposing Russia's war crimes, were marked for kidnap and murder. According to experts, all of these events have strong links to Russia. In isolation, they seem like acts of terror. Together, they seem more like acts of a shadow war. So why isn't the West responding? Hello? Anyone there? Under NATO's Article 5, an attack on one member state is an attack on all. So why hasn't the alliance responded? The answer lies in Russia's strategy. They're not launching full-scale invasions, they're waging a war of deniability. Sanctions have frozen billions of pounds of Russian assets, money that could be sent to Ukraine. Putin's regime and the Russian economy is feeling the squeeze, but make no mistake, he won't go down without a fight. Putin doesn't just want to win in Ukraine, he simply needs to. In his own words, his imperial ambitions mirror those of Peter the Great, a Tsar who expanded Russian territory at a vast, vast human cost. For Putin, this isn't just war, it's his legacy and his very survival. The 2020 ISC Russia report exposed the UK's glaring vulnerabilities. The report concluded that the UK government actively avoided looking for evidence that Russia interfered in both the Scottish independence referendum and Brexit. It revealed how Russian interference had infiltrated British politics, exploited loopholes, and corrupted our democratic systems, and yet 10 years later, oversight remains practically non-existent. The Brexit referendum showed us that the media is a battleground, literally, not metaphorically. Disinformation campaigns, pushing lies, and the manipulation of public opinion. And now Elon Musk, the world's richest man, is taking a leaf out of Russia's playbook and actively trying to overthrow the UK government by stoking a culture war. Now let that sink in. Russia's war isn't just fought with weapons and information, it's fought with money. During their time in power, the Conservative Party took in millions in donations from Russia-linked oligarchs. The Brexit referendum, Russian influence campaigns were all over it. Weakening the EU and isolating the UK was a strategic masterstroke. And thanks to former Conservative Prime Minister Boris Johnson, a Russian spy's son now sits in the House of Lords. Russia's military doctrine is implicit. Psychological warfare is as important as bullets in missiles. Remember Salisbury, the Russian Novichok poisonings carried out on British soil that killed local woman Dawn Sturgis. That was just the tip of the iceberg. We've had nuclear poisonings in London, explosions in the Czech Republic, shooting down civilian airliners, assassination plots in Montenegro, cutting undersea communications and power cables around Scandinavia, shelling a nuclear power station, and the near constant threats of nuclear attacks. These seem more like acts of war disguised as covert operations, and we're only just beginning to understand the scale. So, is Russia attacking the UK? Well, I'm afraid the evidence seems overwhelming. Perhaps World War III has already begun, not with a bang, but with sabotage, cyber attacks, and political manipulation. Russia and its agents are at war with the UK and the West, and the longer we ignore it, the more ground we'll lose. It seems like the Cold War didn't end, it just got colder. The question isn't if Russia is attacking us, it's how much longer we're prepared to pretend that they aren't.